Alright, and we're live. Sorry I am very, very late. Today has gotten crazy busy, and then I was kind of in the zone on a painting, and I didn't want to just stop in the middle of it, so I am late. So sorry about that. And very disorganized. But we'll get this all sorted out here shortly. Where am I? Okay, everything's up. I think we're good. So hello everybody and welcome back. I think I'm probably just going to do another hole on Schoolhouse Rock here. I can probably go for an hour. I cannot remember if Dwayne is starting his new show tonight, if he's doing that later. If so, this will probably be a short episode and I'll cut it a little short. If not, I'll just keep going until I hit a stopping point or decide that I really need to get back to my painting. Either one, whichever comes first. Alright, so I get to go look at this one. And we get to see if I can shift creative gears this evening. I have not been this inspired to paint in a long time. It's been a couple months. So I was really hesitant. I almost canceled tonight because I just didn't want to, to quit in the middle of painting when it was going well for once. Let's see. I'm going to play with this slope, I think. We're going to make like a big, crazy, diagonal thing, I think. Something on the lines of this, maybe. Not sure. Go crazy outlet there. And then something like that. Alright, so we have a crazy zigzaggy hole. I can hopefully get to play on a slope. Hopefully I judged my distances right. Alright, so this is way uphill. Way uphill. So this is not really reachable. Of course I can move the tees up slightly too. How long is this hole? 446, and it's very uphill, so I can probably get away with shortening it, because it's about 70 feet uphill. We'll see. Hi Jacob, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Yes, I may be a little slow on the chat tonight. I only have the chat open in Streamlabs because I rushed downstairs, grabbed my laundry, threw it in a bin, and just ran upstairs and hopped back on here. So I don't have anything else set up. No second screens to monitor their chat, so I have to just pop windows back and forth. And it's going good on my end. I get to take off work tomorrow to go golfing, which is always a plus. But it just means that we were originally going to do it Thursday, and then the weather forecast changed, so we bumped it back to today, which just meant that all of my plans for this week had to be shifted. I had to get a bunch more stuff done tonight than I originally planned on. Plus, I promised Eric that I would do a painting of his golf course for him, and I figured it's like, oh, I'll just give it to him when we go play golf. And I figured I had an extra 2 days to get... Am I on the wrong brush? Yes, I am. Don't do that. We want to raise. I don't want to flatten. I want to add more slope here. But anyway, I promised him I would get him his... well, I guess I didn't promise I'd get it to him this week, but I just figured I would because it's convenient timing. But that means that I need to go find time to paint in my... in with getting all of my usual chores done on Monday. Mondays are always busy for me, and then especially so because I had a change of plans and I get to go fit everything else in today. want this hole to slope rather severely from right to left. Just to sit on this kind of slope for the whole thing. Also, I need to get rid of this mound in the way. And I'll probably move this slightly inland and then raise it a bit. So I want it to be uphill, but it doesn't need to be horrifyingly uphill. Like 40 feet is fine. I don't want to do 60. That's a bit much. But I also don't want to disturb the landscape of the rest of these too much, so I can probably raise it a couple feet, not a lot more. Like, that is about as good as I'm going to do, I think, there. And then I'll flatten it out later, obviously. Alright, let's see if I can see everything from the tee. Yep, nothing, like, overly blind. You'll at least, you know, it's not, Alright, let's see. That looks solid. We're playing in Pennsylvania. It's a course that Eric's a fan of, and it's somewhat convenient for all of us, so it's not close, but it's not, you know, it's like an hour 15 minutes from me, I think. It shortens, or it keeps everybody's drives to a reasonable time. This feels like a great spot for a bunker here. So I might change my fairway shape slightly to let me put in a giant bunker there. Something like this, maybe. We'll give that a shot. I can throw another bunker in here. Yeah, I'm excited. It should be a lot of fun. Plus, I get an excuse to take a day off work, so that's always a bonus. I should figure out what I'm going to do with the green here before I get too carried away in laying fairway down. So I can go ahead and make this wide, because why not? We'll make it a little on the shallow side. Not, you know, not 10 yards deep shallow, but enough so that it keeps the green to a reasonable size. We'll try something like this. Well, I think there's a little shelf here that the green would naturally sit on. Outside of that, that's kind of my main reasoning for making the green this shape. That, and it's like, okay, it's about, or the shelf is about this size, and that shape looks interesting. You know, it's visually striking for the most part, and it fits. And I'm just gonna raise this up a bit. That might be too much, actually. This side I can raise up some more. I need to lower this side. That works. That's a bummer. Yeah, and that's basically why we bumped it back to Tuesday. Thursday was supposed to be the warmest day, so but there's like a 50% chance of rain, and it just made sense of, we decided today of, yeah, let's just bump it back to tomorrow. So that way we know it's not going to rain on us. Oh well, I'll sort this little green issue out later. Now, where do I want my fringe to be? I don't think I need anything deep. I think I'll, like, I don't need a roll-off area behind the green. I think I'll raise that hill up so it'll be kind of in a little alcove, I guess. But front and, like, around 3 sides is probably fine for this. And if I don't like it, I can just redo it. It's no big deal. All things considered, this is looking more promising than I thought it would be. I thought it was gonna, when I sat down, I thought it was gonna be really hard because I have not thought about design at all. So going from just a painting mindset to, oh, it's time to go do this, so I need to just immediately stop what I'm doing and just go jump in the designer and come up with an idea. Not bad. Alright, let's see. Okay, it doesn't really need to be precise, I suppose, but I don't always go with my kind of original gut idea on a whole, but I do it often enough that it doesn't make sense to get too sloppy with my spline work on my kind of idea phase, because I end up using it probably more than half the time. So it doesn't need to be, I don't need to get fidgety with it, but it needs to be good enough that it'll pass for a final product. Alright, let's see here. Oh god, I used the wrong surface. Duh. Let's go fix that. There we go. Yeah, it's, I always draw a lot of parallels between painting and course design. I definitely approach a lot of aspects of it the same way, but it's still a little bit of a different, I don't know, it's still a different creative medium. It'd be like stopping a painting and then just switching to a drawing, or, you know, like immediately halting on a sculpture and then going to a painting or something like that. Or stop speaking in one language mid-sentence and just switch over to a different language. Especially if you're not, I don't tend to do it very much. I either, like, in an evening I'll either paint or I'll design. I mean, I don't always do one of those two things, but I don't tend to do them both in the same evening. So this is a little different. It's kind of interesting. So far I don't, you know, it's not like I've, oh, I shouldn't flatten that. I should raise that. I don't want to kind of remove the interest of the landforms here. I just want to sink this down a little bit. I don't want it flat, I just want it lower. So something like that looks solid, I think. And clear that out. I think that looks good. I can just go ahead and throw in fringes and start smoothing out the sculpting, I guess. Find some spots for bunkers. One sec. Of course, yeah, I always, the measurement marks always coming back. I gotta say, for just rushing through this and not spending that much time on the sculpting, this kind of turned out really interesting. I really like the landforms here. So that'd be my advice for a lot of designers. Like I know there's a big emphasis on polish. Yeah, I've got flattened. This just isn't working for me. There's a big emphasis on polish, and I'm, I definitely am an advocate for, you want to put time and effort into your courses and to work them a little bit, but you also don't want to go too heavy-handed on the sculpt flatten tool if you've got like a really interesting landform and you kind of want to preserve that for the playing characteristic of your whole. That's when I think the kind of the raise tool comes in comes in handy. It lets you, move things around, like, oh, I need to get rid of that hill, it's kind of in my way, or things like that, but you don't have to necessarily compromise the landforms you're working with. You can massage them a little more subtly. And to me, it depends on the style of the course as well. Like if I'm doing a country club style course where it's very smooth, very polished, and it's not very bumpy, then I'm using the sculpt flatten tool a lot. Whereas if I'm going for like a more rugged naturalistic type course, then I'm rarely touching this flatten tool, and I'm using the raise tool almost all the time. Hey Justin, how's it going? Yeah, it's worked out. This one's worked out really good, Jacob. This was another one where I looked at this piece of land briefly in some of the other videos, and I just thought, how am I going to fit a hole in there? And then when it actually came time to design it, I took a quick look at it, and it's like, oh, there's a hole here. Never mind, it's fine. Like I don't have to do a whole lot of work um, to kind of bring it out of the land. I think we can. I definitely want like a big waste area bunker here. I don't know if I want to do several bunkers or one giant one, but we will see. Something like that. That would work. And maybe something like this. That should work as well. I just might bring this hill up a little bit as well so you can see the back lip of that bunker. So that one's not totally invisible. And I'll flatten the pans out just a little bit. I usually, especially for, pieces of land that's interesting like this one, I tend to use the natural depressions as much as I can for bunker sites, so you don't have to be as aggressive with the sculpting for your bunkers, but it definitely helps to make them pop a little bit. So you almost always want to do some. You don't always want to do a lot. And it's kind of a judgment call of where you think it's appropriate to do, certain levels of sculpting. Let's see. Back to the chat. Yeah, I mean, and like overusing the flatten tool is kind of like it's not a rookie mistake. It's more, or it's kind of, I guess it's more like it's a veteran mistake where you understand the tools and you've gotten good at them and you know how to use them, but you haven't necessarily there's an awareness of when it's appropriate to use them in that amount. Or I guess it takes a while to learn the restraint to know when to not use the tools you've learned. I still overdo it a lot. That is a crazy looking bunker and I like it. I think you can see it from the tee and everything. Still might need to massage the landform a little bit to really make it pop, but this is definitely a promising start. Heck, at this rate, I might not have to use the whole hour to get a decent hole in here. So I'm, what, 15 minutes in? I'm halfway done. I don't think this will need a ton of bunker work. I might throw a couple in just to frame it more so um than to, like, they don't necessarily need to come into play. I think most of the bunkers on this hole are just for framing. Like these bunkers here, they add a little bit to maybe an intimidation factor on your tee shot, or not your tee shot, your approach shot, but they're so short of the green, there's no reason that they should ever come into play. Unless you play, like, further up tees and just crush a driver or something. It's a little too kind of, like, perfectly symmetrical waves there. I want to add a bigger curl to it so it doesn't look quite so, like, manufactured, I guess. That's a solid start. Now there's definitely one going in here, and maybe one, like a little one in here, and one on this corner maybe. So like 3 bunkers tops is probably what I want. The landform should do most of the work as far as hazards on this hole. Never underestimate just uneven land as a way to make a hole more difficult, and it's a really subtle way to do it too. Like if there's no, or if you have only small areas that are like perfectly flat, and the rest of the driving area is a lot more tilted, especially depending on, say, if it slopes from right to left, so that you're hitting I keep wanting to say fade, but for most people it's a draw lie. So in this case, the whole shape kind of accentuates it, but if I angled the green the other way, so I asked you to hit a fade and you have a draw lie, then all of a sudden this hole got a lot harder. Oh yeah, never underestimate the ability to go find weird parts of the course after you're done playtesting it and you're just playing it for real. It's like, I played this course 50 times and I never found this spot, and I go play it once in a society event, and now I found every weird bunker that I never planned for. Let's just throw that one in there. That'll work. I'm gonna just go a little crazy with this landform. We're gonna raise this up. I'm in a crazy mood today. I feel like doing some bold, wild stuff. That was the only thing that was working in my painting, where I just decided, like, screw it, this one's already ruined, so I'm just gonna go, like, bold, like, reckless, um, yeah, like, paint super dark so that there's no way that you could ever salvage it if you screw it up, but it will pop if you do it right, that sort of thing. It's just, that's what's working today, so we're gonna do just reckless things. Not that not you can really get too reckless in course design because you can always undo everything. Yeah, worst comes to worst, you can always do something that's just bold, and if you don't like it, you can just undo it. You just don't save. That's the great thing about course design. There's nothing that you do to or you can do to it that will permanently ruin a piece if you choose not to, or if you change your mind later. That's, as with drawings and paintings and stuff, you can undo a lot of it, and if you're quick, you can get away with almost anything. But if you're picking up paint or graphite or whatever you're using, it doesn't always all come out. So sometimes if you undo a mistake, now you're committed to, well, I need to put something else dark over it so I cover up my mistake that I made earlier. You'd be surprised how many uh, people's compositions are influenced by covering up things that they screwed up early and don't want you to see. Of, oh, well, there's this big ugly mark here that I can't get rid of, so something big and dark is going over top of this later. You don't have to do that in course design. I mean, that being said, you can still definitely hide things like areas that you haven't touched, that sort of thing. Hi Eric, how's it going? But yeah, I the reason I always draw out my bunker shapes like that is it lets me check to see if I like the way that particular shape frames the hole, or if I like how it sits in the land and how it fits with the overall kind of framing composition, whatever you want to call it, of the hole. There's lots of times where I'll draw out like 4 or 5 different bunker shapes before I settle on one that I feel like fits there. So that's why I doodle those out first versus and plus it's just a way to do really quick, um, easy, like prototypes of your bunker shape. And then when you get to the point of like, okay, I like that shape, I'm ready to go throw it down with sand. You're There's that extra level of confidence that, yep, this is what I want to do with it, and it just saves a little bit of time. Plus, it just means that it gives you lines to color along. I don't have to make a ton of creative decisions with the brush. I get to make it ahead of time and then just follow the decisions I made with the brush. Now, occasionally I'll definitely do stuff that's slightly different than my distance tools when I'm laying surfaces out, but I'm making usually little edits to it that I think will be an improvement versus completely reinventing what I'm doing. It's just I've gotten used to doing it this way, and it's a little bit of a comfort thing, I think. So there we go. That looks actually pretty solid. Yeah, I have that problem too, Justin. Except the wife part. I just don't have time for all of my raving fans. I definitely like that. I just wish there was a way to... Here, I might lower this just a little bit. I want to keep that slope for the most part. I want it a little bit less severe. Smooth, or I should say, I want it to be smoother. I don't necessarily want it to be less severe. I want to make it an interesting backstop. Oh, yeah, it's not quite. Maybe I do want to smooth it out a little. It's not quite working the way that's a little better. This needs some help, but I always try to be wary of having surface edges that are a little too crazy. They don't look very natural, so you definitely want your surface edges to fit smoothly in the terrain. You don't want there to be like sudden drop-offs at the edge. Let's see. I'm drawing a blank. I'm honestly not sure who Lisa Redmond is. I don't know if I should know that or not. Actually, I kind of want to... Oh, look, and all my distance markers are back. Of course. Don't want to do too much more flattening here. Just enough to smooth it out a little. Yeah, this isn't quite working for me either. That's a little better. It's always tough designing holes with the sun directly at your back, though. They always look very flat. And it's very hard to make those pop. I'm surprised all the sculpting lines show up in the fairways like they do. It's certainly fortunate, especially since I didn't have to spend a whole lot of time and effort on those. Those are mostly just there already. This one's probably pretty solid as well. Yeah, that works. Now I can just tweak, I can lower this lip here so that the bunker shows up a little bit more from the tee. Maybe do something similar. I don't want to do it that much. The landform's already pretty wild. You don't want to totally overdo it. I can move that spline point as well. Nope, not the spline point, the waypoint. Like that. Let's check up chat. Some guy got banned and they joined the... Oh. That's funny. People get, there's so many weird tour stories. It's pretty funny though. There we go. This shot is it's fairly straightforward, except that there's a little bit of a second guessing factor going on by it's not on a level lie, and there's just another variable that you have to add into stuff. See, the difference there, Justin, is that everybody likes Brittany, so we want her around. She's the most popular person in the dam. Oh, I don't want flatten. I want raise. Because I want to add some complexity to the greens, not remove them. That's kind of one of my tips I give people a lot of time of if you're trying to add interest to a landform, use the raise tool because it's adding kind of some complexity to what you're doing. If it's too complicated and you want to smooth it out, then the flatten tool is what you want. So yeah, with a couple brush clicks, now I have instant green contours that I can tweak and find pin spots for. Do I want some red slope? Probably. If they banned people from drunk posting, I mean, you'd have to ban probably half the people on the board. The key is you have to be a happy drunk, so nobody even knows that you're a drunk poster. Basically, just don't be a jerk, and it doesn't matter if you're occasionally inebriated while browsing the forums. Not that you should always be inebriated while browsing the forums, because that probably means that you have a problem, but, you know. There, this green's a little wild, but this hole is kind of a little wild in its entirety anyway, so it fits. Plus, it's not very long, and it's pretty wide otherwise, so. The challenge is hitting a very precise approach shot on a hole that does not give you a lot of opportunity for precision. It's a little bit of randomness to your lie, and then that adds some complexity to your next shot. Man, I did this in a half hour. Wow. This hole's pretty much done, other than tees, and I can do some kind of macro planting, however you want to call it. Do some trees and bushes and stuff. This might be a short episode for today, so I got other chores to get done tonight. And I got to finish a painting. Ooh. This one's going to require a lot of sculpting, but this is going to be an awesome hole, I think, when it's done. This is an awesome green site. I need to get rid of this giant hill in the way, but this green site looks awesome. I'm so excited for this one. And the lighting is awesome. So not only is it interesting, it's going to look just amazing. I mean, I can't blame you for being mad, Justin. I have no idea how I did this hole this quickly, because the handful of stuff on this course I've done in under an hour were all short par threes, things that have less labor involved in them, and that were already in like a spot that was just an absolute no-brainer. I have no idea where the this one came from. I guess I'm just having an on night creatively. I didn't know if all the painting inspiration I've had this evening would translate to course design. I guess it translates just fine. Oh, I can't put a whole lot of trees to the right. I might wait to do any significant. I'm gonna lower this just a bit, because then it looks like a slightly different tree. Nah, it looks weird. I don't know why. I don't know if yeah, we'll do that one. That one looks a little more natural. I don't know why some of the tree shapes just look weird to me. I did that one. I'll drop one of these in here. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of tree work to do on this one, because I kind of want to wait until 7 is down as well before I do anything too drastic with this one. You know, when you have two holes close together like this, it makes sense to just kind of treat them as a single entity for planting's sake. And they have a ton of shared area, so you want stuff that works for both of them. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised too, Dan. I don't know what it is about this course, but it's been like, I know I'm a fast designer, but this has been uh just almost effort or an almost effortless project even by my standards, and I'm pretty efficient about stuff. I think it's because I tend to get just a little bit finicky with like detail work and stuff on most of my courses. I just figured, like, I don't want to, not to take pot shots at Eric, because I think his reputation isn't necessarily earned. Well, maybe it's earned a little bit, but it's a little exaggerated. The whole idea of it takes him 2 hours to put a rock down. Like, I really wanted to avoid like making people watch me do finicky detail stuff and tweaking like little tiny details for a half hour. So so I wanted to be just really quick and efficient about it, and just not take time to slow down and second guess myself and do that sort of thing, but just get all of the broad brushstrokes down. And so far, it's worked out better than I could have hoped. Even the like, when I started, I knew like the first couple holes I thought were gonna be no brainers. Like, they're in kind of spots where the land formations had very obvious holes on them. Like, number 2 for me was, this was always going to be a short par 3 with a, like a perched green. Like, that's a no brainer for a, for a hole tight. And number 4, where the land slopes off to the sea, like, that's like kind of another no brainer, and it looks great because it's got like perfect lighting. But 5 and 6, I figured that was going to be where all of that momentum would come to a screeching halt, and it would take me 3 episodes to go do a short par 3, because I couldn't get anything to work. And it's just been, I've been really lucky so far, and that my first idea on all of these has been a good one. Don't worry, I too have spent 2 hours planting mounds and stuff. It's just that I purposely chose this project, or this idea to do my my first Twitch design project, because like I'm not doing any heavy rough texturing, which saves a ton of time. Like that's remove one finicky detail thing that takes me tons of time completely from the equation. Like that's done. Um, what else? Like the planting isn't too terribly hard because it's a Highlands course, and I just have to throw down a handful of trees, and it's mostly there. Like everything about this course is set up in a way to minimize the amount of extra effort I have to put into the detail stuff. Like I might go through and do a little bit of that later just to kind of differentiate it from the quote unquote standard Highlands look of how every course kind of looks like if you don't do anything to transform it. But again, this one's gonna be relatively light in the amount of extras I'm putting into it, which significantly cuts down on the time. Thank you, Texan. I appreciate it. Hopefully I'm not giving people the idea that they need to go sprint through all of their designs in the same way. I definitely uh, would recommend taking your time and not rushing things. But you also want to be careful about, like, um, you can definitely overdo things, and if you spend say 10 hours fretting over one detail on a hole that nobody will probably notice when they play, then yeah, maybe just accept that, okay, it's fine. Like everything doesn't need to be perfect. Some things can be good enough and you just move on. But the the reason I'm doing this one quickly is mostly because I just don't want to make people sit and watch me do finicky stuff forever, versus me kind of suggesting this as a design style um, for your own courses. By all means, design at whatever pace you want. But yeah, and again, I'm the same way. Like there's definitely courses I've done in say like 30 to 40 hours, but there's also courses that I know I've spent probably 70, 80, 100 in that range. It really just depends on some courses I can just like this how this one has been so far. Like this is about best case scenario in terms of every hole I've done so far. I've had a broad idea. I've sketched it out really quick, and I've basically had to make no changes to my kind of original idea. So that means that I'm never redoing anything, and that I'll throw a really quick sketch out just to test an idea. Like this one, like I didn't necessarily intend this to be the final product. I just threw a quick sketch out, and it just happened to be good enough that yeah, I don't see myself making any significant changes to this. So okay, so my really quick sketch is just, oh, this is done now. Okay, so versus the redoing a whole 3 or 4 times and tweaking like the final idea you come up with, having to tweak and massage it for several hours just to make it look halfway decent. Yeah, I'm the same way, Justin. For the longest time, I designed exclusively on laptop, and I would basically just design while I was watching TV and stuff. Like if it was a movie on or TV or something like that, I would just have my laptop open in the background and would do all of my kind of fiddly, tedious work while my mind was on something else. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at this going, I don't know if there's anything else I really feel like I need to do to this today. I think this is a solid stopping point for an episode. And I mean, well, I started late, so this is probably only about 45 minutes, but I don't necessarily feel like doing a lot of planting today, especially since I'm kind of eager to get back to finishing my painting before all of that creative spark just completely disappears. So this will be kind of a rushed, hurried episode in a lot of ways, just because you know, when you've got inspiration, you know, use it. Like I got all of the major ideas for this done, and I don't need to. I guess that would also be another point of advice I would give new designers. Of if you're feeling inspired and you have all of these ideas for holes, you don't have to get bogged down in finishing all of them. There's lots of days where I'll go sketch out, do like rough sketches like this for 8 holes, and my course is halfway done. So when that kind of creative spark strikes you, just go with it and just get as much creative stuff done all at once. Um, you know, while that's working, and then on days where you have absolutely no creative energy and you just look at empty places on your course and go, I have zero ideas for this. Don't force it, and that's a great time to go do all of the technical work that doesn't require creativity but requires time. So that's generally how I do things. I'm a little more free form of, if I'm feeling creative, I'm making all of the creative decisions around the course. If I'm not feeling creative, but I want to, you know, design and do something productive on a project, then I'll do, you know, like a little bit of greens, or, you know, like sculpting, polishing, a little bit of planting, like surfacing, all of those things that don't require as much creative energy but are just tedious. So yeah, so I am going to go continue to utilize this burst of creativity I've had today and just move it on to something else. So anyways, thank you everybody for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see y'all again um in the next episode. Yeah, if I can, Dan, if I can get like once I figure out how to do like fancy effects and stuff on my stream, I will. I'm really considering getting the Joy of Painting theme to play me off, because that'd be amazing. I'd love that. Sorry, Petty. You can rewatch it though, and I'll be back next week. But anyways, thanks again for stopping by, everybody. Oh, I can plug all the other the TGC Tours shows. Be sure to give everybody else a look. What's Going On is on tomorrow, as well as Andre's show. I'm not sure if he's doing it this week, but Tuesday's Andre's show. Definitely worth looking into. Uh, yes. Yeah, so give everybody else a look. And yes, Dan, happy painting. God bless. Good night, everybody.